Good morning, Flosstube. I'm Sarah and you're very welcome to my little corner of YouTube called Sew Me Sarah. Here we talk about all things cross stitch and sometimes other needlework, if I've had time to do any. Of course, today I have an update on Stitch in London retreat, which I attended last weekend. I want to share all the goodness with you. Before we get to that, I have a couple of little admin points to cover. I'll share some of my own stitching with you, that would be pre-retreat stitching. And then after we talk about Stitch in London, I want to have a little chat about my 50 Starts challenge with Sally at Flossie Sews and Grows. And then we'll have a little chat about connecting as cross-stitchers, how we connect. So that's the plan for today. I hope that you'll stay with me for all of it, but you can hop about, pick and choose the parts that you would like to hear about, skip the parts you're not interested in, and whatever you do, I hope that you will enjoy watching a little bit here this morning. So admin-wise, just to pick up on a couple of things, episode 59, it speaks for itself. I'm not needing to go into that here today. But what I would like to say is that there has been a good outcome, a very good outcome of episode 59, and we have resolved things and all is well. So virtual hugs have been exchanged and everything is good. Thank you all for watching, if that video had interested you. Okay, episode 58, which was my last regular video, I was sharing with you my Christmas patterns from my stash, and I shared this one, which is from the Gift of Stitching magazine from my digital download. And this was published as a 4-part mystery sampler called On Christmas Day. And it's by the Cat's Whiskers Designs. Now, because it was published over 4 parts, I had this was being the last part in issue 59. I had said that it started in issue 56, being 56, 57, 58, 59. But I'm reliably informed by Jane, and thankfully she let me know, that actually this starts in episode 55. So we think that somewhere along the line they skipped an episode of publishing a part of it. So if you have been interested in this or looking for it, you will find it in issue 55 of the Gift of Stitching magazine. So, thank you, Jane, for letting me know that. It is very helpful to be able to pass that on to others. In episode 58, when we talked about this Christmas stitching, I mentioned that I'd like to run away to a little winter cabin, hole up for a few weeks and just stitch. And I know some of you are very on board with that idea. So if ever I get the opportunity to rent a winter cabin and have a group of stitchers with me, I will let you know. Okay, we had 2 giveaways on episode 58. The first one was for my reaching 4,000 subscribers with the channel. And that giveaway is a little pack, a little kit really, of the Barbara Anna designs, Stitchingly Ever After. There's the chart. Then there's some 32 count Belfast linen from Swigart. There's a fat quarter here in the raw linen colour. And then we had the Caterpillar cross stitch Ladybird needle minder to go along with that. The Ladybird was very popular, and Ladybird was the magic word for this giveaway. And I believe in Norfolk in England that the Ladybird is known as a Bishy Barnaby. I hope I got that right. A Bishy Barnaby. I have never heard that before. We debated Ladybird, Ladybug last time, but I never heard of Bishy Barnaby. So I think it's great that we have very localized words for certain things in our language. It's what makes language rich and expressive. So thank you for letting me know that. Okay, so get on with it, Sarah. You all want to know who won the 4K giveaway. And the winner of this little pack is Angela Lewis. I couldn't read my own writing, sorry. So Angela, if you could get in touch with me, You can DM me on Instagram, SewMeSarah, or email me at the email address in the drop down box below. Send me your postal address and I will get this little pack off to you as soon as I can. The second giveaway was Christmas related. It was a share away of Christmas related charts because I had been doing the Christmas stash dive of patterns. So we had Lizzie Kate's ABC Christmas and Dirty Annie's Houndstooth Christmas Tree. And these two little charts have been won by Fiona Lawrence 2977. Fiona, that is the name that was coming up for you on Google. So Fiona Lawrence 2977. If you also get in touch via Instagram or by the email and let me have your address, I will pop these little charts in the post to you and I hope you enjoy them. Okay, let me share with you the little bit, and I mean little bit, of stitching that I did before retreat. So between my episode 58 and going on retreat last Friday. It wasn't very much, I assure you. I did do my daily stitch of I Am No Bird by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I cheated. I worked ahead to cover myself for the days that I would be away on retreat so that I didn't have to carry this with me to London. Yeah, luggage, packing and luggage and airplanes, it's all a premium. So I wanted to pack as sensibly as possible and I didn't want to bring this one with me just for the one thread a day. So I did work ahead a little bit to make sure that I was covered for my weekend away. And this is where I have gotten to with, with I Am No Bird. So the borders are all met and joined up. I have completed the Jane Eyre and the date at the bottom. These two beautiful motifs. I really like these motifs. And you can see that I've started the big house. It's a big, big house, but it's beautiful. So at a guess, I would say, no, I'm not going to get this finished in the next 4 days. So we were curious as to whether this one would stitch up as quickly on a daily thread as Real Comfort did. Real Comfort took 3 months on a daily thread. This one's going to take a little bit longer, but we were just curious. It doesn't actually matter. So that is my progress with I Am No Bird. And then, to be honest, the rest of my stitching time pre-retreat was taken up with the Caterpillar cross stitch latest Christmas SAL, which is called Christmas Wonderland. And there's a lot of stitching in this SAL. It's worth it. It's a beautiful stitch. It's going to be so much fun when it's finished. It really is. But there's a lot in each pattern release. So I think part 2 was released the week before I went away to retreat. So that is all of these little buildings and houses here, not this church. This church is pattern release 3, which I just got started on last night. But let me hold it up a little bit closer so you can see. So you can see a couple of little Christmassy houses. There's a little stall here, which I'm convinced is selling. Oh, sorry. I'm convinced the little stall is selling Guinness, pints of Guinness at the Christmas market. Have a look and see for yourself. Can you see? Oops, up here, little pints of Guinness. Something to take the chill away, that's for sure. So like I said, very detailed, a very detailed stitch. Lots and lots of pretty things to come. Part 3 is out. There's even more in part 3. So we've got lots more kind of buildings, trees and Santa and reindeer flying overhead up here. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes in. So that was most of my stitching the week before retreat. And that between that and I Am No Bird, that's really all that I managed. So you're all caught up to date with as much as I stitched prior to retreat. It will probably take me 3 seconds to catch you up with how much stitching I did on retreat, but that's another matter. Okay, so retreat. Friday morning last week, I got up at an unearthly hour and ventured out on the roads, which were pretty horrendous with the storm Babette that had come in. But I only live about half an hour from the airport, and certainly at the 5:15 in the morning, there isn't very much traffic. So it was a nice straight run through to the airport, and I was off on my jollies for the weekend. Yes, it was an early start, but absolutely it was worth it. So all of my travel went pretty well. I'm a nervous traveler just because I'm not very used to it, and I'm not great in a big crowd like, you know, at Gatwick Airport. There are huge crowds, but everything went really well and I got where I was supposed to be in a really great time. What I will say is that the location for the Stitch in London retreat is fabulous for folks travelling on public transport. So if you can use the trains to get to Watford Junction Station, you are pretty much across the road, straight across the road, and like up 3 buildings, and there is the hotel. And it was so nice that it was so easy. So thank you, Marie. That was a really great way, or a great location for the retreat. But you already know that, and I know, having spoken to lots of folks at the weekend, there were quite a few folks who travelled in by car and they weren't having to come all the way into the ULEZ zone in London, paying those extra charges or anything. So it seemed like lots of folks really like the location of the retreat. And it was held at the Holiday Inn in Watford. And yeah, it was really, really handy. So I liked the ease of that. And getting the train from Gatwick through to Watford wasn't too difficult either. So if you were ever thinking of travelling that way, if you're flying in from Gatwick, you don't have to go all the way into central London and come back out again. You can get the train from Gatwick to Clapham Junction, change at Clapham and go to Watford Junction, and that's what I did. Have to say the Trainline app came in super handy. It even tells you which platform to go to and everything, so it keeps a complete train travel novice like me on the straight and narrow. So yeah, I would hardly recommend for location that the hotel was great. It was also a very nice hotel. It was clean, tidy, rooms were beautiful. Not that we were in them much because there was so much fun to be had downstairs, but they were a great place to retreat to, exhausted at the end of a very busy day. So when I arrived at the hotel and I spoke to reception and they kindly took my bag because I had arrived quite early. I'm one of those people who just likes to get there and know that I'm there and know where I'm supposed to be, and that was all good. So I arrived and I was welcomed by Karen and Jill, who were also already in the foyer, and they were relaxing and having a chat, and they were, "Hello, Sarah." So it was really nice to be welcomed. So Karen and Jill, thank you so much for making me feel really welcome, and I didn't feel lost at all. It was just like open arms, big hug, and gather folks in. So, and that's pretty much how it felt all weekend at Stitch in London. So as time drew nearer for the doors to open to retreat at 2:30 in the afternoon, more and more of us were gathering excitedly in the lobby of the hotel. And we had lots of laughter and chat, and that just set the tone for the whole time that we were there. I am telling you folks, my cheeks were sore, my voice was hoarse. It took me till Wednesday to be able to speak properly. I have not chatted this much ever, I think, possibly ever. And it was all good, all good. So when the retreat doors opened, we were like straight in the queue. The best thing ever. Best thing ever. I'm going to say it now because it's really hard to pick a best part, but for me, the best part of the retreat was seeing Marie in the flesh, for real, and just giving her a great big hug. So that was the best part of the retreat for me. So yeah, in big hugs, she gave us our goodie bags, and you know, and then we went to find seats. Now, I had gone to retreat with my friend Noreen, who is a real life friend here in Northern Ireland. We didn't travel together because Noreen was already visiting family and she travelled in from a different direction. But we spent the rest of the weekend together. And look at us, aren't we having so much fun? And that was just on Friday at the beginning. So we had a great time, and thank you, Noreen, for being the best retreat buddy. It was great to be there with you. Really, really great. So we took our goodie bags, our retreat packs over to and found a seat and sat down and said hello as other folks filtered in and gathered at our table. So we sat at table 9, and you know, I'm going to argue and fight with anybody who tries to suggest it wasn't the best table, although it did look like every table was probably the best table. But at table 9 we had Kirsty from Crafty Kirsty on Flosstube. We had Stitchy Rach from Flosstube also. We had Crafty Whitney. Whitney came in from the US, and I had spotted Whitney in the foyer and thought, I'm gonna put on my big girl pants and be really brave and go and say hello to this stranger. And she was a stranger and she wasn't. We had met via a Zoom call pre-retreat. Marie hosted some Zoom calls for the Stitch in London attendees so that we could ask the questions we needed to ask, see some faces, learn some names before we actually went to London. And Whitney was one of those faces and names on that Zoom call. So it was really lovely to see her in person. And I thought, I'll just go and I'll welcome her and I'll say hello, because I had been welcomed by Karen and Jill and I thought I was going to pass that on. So it was a great move because she came and sat at our table and she was a riot all weekend. So yeah, so that was Kirsty, Rachel, Whitney. Then we had Edna, who was really lovely. She joined us a little bit later on Friday, but we were so glad that she did. Noreen was there, and then Chris was there, and Jane was there, and I think that's all of us. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Great conversations, great laughs, amazing stitching from the ladies around that table. Beautiful, stitchy eye candy to see. Oh, so much of it. And of course beyond our table too, but table 9, big shout out to all of you. I hope to see you all again at retreat and catch up again, hopefully next year, hopefully. So when we got our packs, of course we got our name badges, and everybody loves the retreat name badge. And we had a good rifle in here. We had a Stitch in London needle minder made by Cotton and Clay. Laura was there. Laura, who owns and runs Cotton and Clay, was there as a vendor as well. So I have another lovely little needle minder that I purchased from Laura. You could check her out on Etsy, I think, Facebook and Instagram. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful reminder of a Stitch in London retreat weekend. So thank you for that, Laura. We got a sample of Roxy Floss because Kerry was there from Roxy Floss. And this one is called Titanium. It's a beautiful, beautiful silver grey. I think this would look stunning on a navy fabric. Beautiful. We have a little embellishment pack from Marie from Stitches and Diamonds. I mean, Marie put this all together, so thank you so much, Marie. These are lovely little things to have to add to our stash for finishes. Charlie Feathers, who was also vending at the weekend, had provided a hand-painted floss drop for everyone. yeah, that's like 72 hand painted floss drops, and that is not what she was then as well as what she was selling on her table. 72 of these gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous floss drops. So that is Charlie Feathers. If you are interested, you can find Charlie here, if you can use that little code. And then, of course, we had some patterns. We had this pattern from Chloe, who is a girl with the gavel stitches. This is the twin bird pin cushion. Chloe was vending, and she also had the original pin cushion and her new stitch as well. So this is beautiful. And I have some plans for this I'm going to tell you about a little bit later. And then there was our main retreat stitch, which came as a kit. So we got the pattern, the floss, and some fabric, which we had been able to choose in advance what size of fabric we wanted, what count of fabric. So I chose a 40 count, and the fabric is vintage mocha from Zweigart, vintage country mocha, sorry. And the floss is Roxy Floss Great Lakes. It's a beautiful, beautiful dark blue. And those are to stitch Jacob's exclusive release for Stitch in London, which is 10 Merry Sailors and Their Loyal Dog. So we had lots of discussion about this pattern at our table, about our headless sailor here, and whether this was the dog or this was the dog. I thought this was the dog, and this was maybe like a Here Be Beasties sea monster type thing, because I thought these were ripples in the water. But after consultation with Jacob, Whitney was able to confirm that they are in fact both dogs. So that is gorgeous chart from Jacob for Stitch in London 2023. I'm sure it will be released at some stage for general release, so you can keep your eye out on Jacob's channels and his website. So thank you, Marie, for such a gorgeous welcome pack. I didn't start mine. Whitney did start hers at retreat, and so did Anne-Marie, and they look beautiful. And Marie also had hers fully finished, or she had the stitching finished, and it looks wonderful. So I will look forward to making a start at some stage, but it's lovely to have the whole thing gifted to you as part of your retreat goodie bag. So give me just a little second to tidy this away reasonably well, and then I'll be back with you. One of the things I forgot to tell you about retreat is that the fun starts beforehand. The fun starts before you even get your bags packed. So we had 3 lovely little freebie patterns gifted to us as retreat goers in advance of the Stitch in London retreat. They were intended, some of them were intended to be used for classes that were held, but they were available to all of us to download, to stitch, to keep in our stash, whatever we wanted to do with them. And that's a really nice little thing that I wasn't expecting, to have goodies in advance of retreat. So I'll share those 3 patterns with you now. The first was from Michelle, Mama Loves You GB. I haven't printed it, but I'll insert a picture here. And this is Herbert. He is one of Michelle's series of A Parliament of Owls, and she is stitching those on perforated paper, and they're gorgeous. We saw them all hanging on a tree this weekend. So if you like owls, if you like perforated paper decorations, if you like to stitch him on linen and make him into a pillow, or you like to look at the other owls, then check out Michelle's Etsy shop. But Herbert was available to us first, and I do believe he is now also available to all of you on Michelle's Etsy shop. Roz Clark Craft. Roz gave us a little to-do list stitch. I have it folded over so you can't see the chart. The photo doesn't have the whole stitch in it, but it says stitch, eat, sleep, clean. Stitch, you can see, is ticked absolutely definitely. Eat and sleep have got question marks beside them. Clean has a great big definite X. So this stitcher has their priorities right. They might eat, they might sleep, they're definitely not going to clean, and they definitely are going to stitch. Rose used this in a class to make a little notebook cover, but it would be a very fun stitch to do, perhaps as a smalls exchange or just for fun in your own craft room. So keep an eye. I'm sure that at some point Rose will release this on her own sales channel, which I think is an Etsy shop. Yes, Rose Clark Craft on Etsy. There we go, down here. I can show you. Oh, sorry. There, Rose Clark Craft on Etsy. And the third freebie in advance of retreat came from Yasmin at Yasmin's Made with Love. This is called Snowflake, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. It looks even better in real life. It really does. The stitching is very fine on it, and it's gorgeous. Beautiful colours, a beautiful design, and I will be very happy to add these to my stash and stitch them up at some stage. So thank you to Yasmin, to Roz and to Michelle for those freebies that were part of this Stitch in London experience. I look forward to stitching some of them or all of them in time. Okay, so when you arrive at Stitch in London, it's the kind of retreat that is fairly open. It's not a retreat full of classes and lectures. This October one. If you have watched, you'll know that Marie is planning a more focused retreat on samplers in February of 24. And if you're interested, you should go and check out Marie's channels and her website, Stitches and Diamonds and Stitch in London website. So this one is a little bit more free. You stitch what you want, you can come and go as you want. There is a schedule of events because there are some fun activities included, but it's not overly organised in that sense. Like, you do have plenty of free time. You can take a wander up the street and go and buy lunch, or, you know, just go and stretch your legs and have some fresh air if you can tear yourself away from this stitching room. And then you can come back at the times that are set for things like the freebie table and the D-stash table and the smalls exchange, and there were some fun and games as well. So all of those things are built into the weekend, but it's not an onerous schedule in any way, and I really like that. That is my kind of retreat. I'm sure that the other kind of retreat is really excellent too, but this one, I think, because I was really looking forward to meeting people, and it gave us time to wander around the tables, time to see what other people were stitching, time to say hello, to sit down, to take a photograph, whatever it was we were wanting to do. There was time for that. We weren't on a rigid timetable moving from one thing to the next. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very much about this retreat. Friday afternoon was pretty much all just, you know, free time, go stitching. You had time to submit your smalls exchange pieces, put your bits and pieces on the brag table, which was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. You had basically just time to organize and settle, and that I think is really great. So the brag table, I'm going to insert a little video here so that you can see all the goodness that I got to see at the weekend. I apologize in advance because you know I'm not a great videographer, but I did my best to let you see all of the goodness that was there.
use the ones that are in the frame.
Yeah. The window frame is so beautiful for them. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Michelle.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Oh,
They came out really well.
it's even more beautiful in person than on the videos.
Wasn't it gorgeous? Absolutely stunning, and so nice to see pieces that I've never seen before, that I would never stitch, but I just love to see them anyway. I love that. It is something I really enjoy about the crafting world. I enjoyed it in quilting as well. I always enjoyed to see people stitching or quilting things or using fabrics that I didn't choose to use, just to see what variety there is within your craft. So it was absolutely stunning. On Saturday morning, refueled by a lovely breakfast at the hotel, I was ready to get back into the stitching room to meet more people, say hello to more people, and to get back to my stitching, which in fairness didn't happen a lot over the weekend. So when I was packing, I packed 4 projects, and 3 of them were very small and 1 of them was bigger. So I took Rejoice Evermore. I took the gingerbread, G is for gingerbread, from Wildstyle Snaps. I took Season's Greetings, which is a Caterpillar cross stitch monthly subscription box pattern. And I took Elizabeth Bennett by Twin Peak Primitives. 3 of those 4 were just fill-ins, and that is definitely the way to go for retreat. Don't take complex counting to retreat. 2 of the pieces I didn't touch at all. 1 of the pieces I only did a little bit, and the other one I only did a little bit more than a little bit. So let me show you what I did do. Okay, I took Rejoice Evermore, which you know I'm stitching with Joanita as a little SAL, Joanita at Stitchy Things. And I had proudly, before we went, prepared the house all ready to fill in this red when we got there, and the roof as well. That's not what happened, but let me show you what did happen. Okay, so I did manage to fill in down here. It's kind of, I don't know, plaster work on the house, or, you know, finishing render on the house. And I stitched in this much of the red. Basically, I just talked too much. I wondered too much. It was a case of, let's stitch half a dozen stitches, and oh, let's go and have a wander. Oh, let's go and see that. Oh, I need to go and say thank you to that person. Oh, yeah. It was super. It was absolutely brilliant. But it didn't do my stitching any favors. I also had a little bit of a wobble on Friday night, as I realized that this window here, this window here is a half stitch off. So, which means that this window here is also a half stitch off, because they are lovely and they are lined up, but they're both wrong. So in a little bit of a huff, I put it away on Friday night, trying to think what I would do, how I'd work around this. And I thought, I'll just fill in the rest, I'll leave this and unpick it at home and fix it. Well, Table 9 had a chat, a word in my ear on Saturday and said, don't unpick it, just stitch it. Nobody will ever know. If you don't tell them, they'll never know. So if I didn't tell you, would you know? You really can't tell from a distance. You can't. You can tell close up, obviously, if you know what you're looking for. But thank you to Table 9 for saving me all that frogging. So yeah, I got over my strop and I picked it back up again and filled in a little bit more on Saturday and on Sunday. Saturday night, I don't think I stitched anything. I think I stitched half a stitch. There was just so much chat after dinner. So I was in the stitching room. I had a needle in hand. I just didn't do anything with the needle that I had in my hand. I was too busy having a chat with Anne-Marie and Hazel and whoever else popped by the table. So yeah, that is my sorry amount of stitching, except I'm not sorry at all. I had a wonderful time, and lesson number 1 from retreats, it's not about the stitching, it's about the stitchers. And I have to say that meeting people, meeting friends for the first time, friends off the channel, friends off Instagram, and meeting those friends and making new friends is really what the retreat was all about. And it was just fabulous. For an introvert, someone who doesn't like to put herself out there in social situations, someone who is kind of shy about making the first move in a conversation. I don't do small talk very well. But having stitching as our common thing means you can say, oh, look, that's beautiful. And look, you've already started a conversation with someone, sort of, you know. It doesn't take a lot then, you know, you've broken the ice. So I'm not totally antisocial, I'm just socially nervous. But there was no need at this weekend. It was just so full of people willing to talk about stitching, knowing why you were excited about stitching, understanding each other. Perfect. Really, really perfect. So some of the people that I met were Sally from Flossie Sews and Grows, and we had a good chat about our 50 starts in our 50th year challenge. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that later, but it was so nice to sit down with Sally, have a proper chat, and yeah, it just feels like we're friends. She said, oh, I think if you lived down the road from me, we could be friends. And we are friends, Sally. I know we don't live down the road. Wouldn't it be great if we could have like a whole road of stitchers? Just to pop in and out of houses, just see how you're getting on with your project today. I'm not sure we get a lot stitched, mind you, that's the thing. Anyway, it was lovely to meet Sally. We got to meet Roz as well, Roz Clark Crafts. So Roz and I chat through our Instagram and mainly through our Flosstube channels. And it was really lovely to meet Roz in person. We had a great chat over lunchtime on Saturday. And of course I got to meet little Charlie too, because Roz had brought Charlie the dog with her for the weekend. Not into the retreat, but he was with her, and we were able to see him at lunchtime too. So we got to meet Roz and Charlie, and that was lovely. Charlie Feathers and Yasmin from Yasmin's Made with Love were at a back table in the room. They were both vending for the weekend, so they were there, and it was just so nice to see them in real life. It was so nice to see everybody in real life that you know through screens, and it was so lovely that people were just like themselves. Nobody was any different in real life from they are on their channels, which I think speaks a lot to the authenticity of who they are when they're on their channels. So it was so good to meet you ladies, and thank you so much. On Saturday, I also got to say hello to Michelle at Mama Loves You GB. It was so nice to see her, and we were able to nab her for a photograph of a few of us in the back corner of the room on Sunday morning. So there you go. So yeah, I will slip in any other photographs that I have as I was chatting, and hopefully I haven't forgotten anyone specifically. Of course, I met lots of other folks, and it was really, really nice of you to come and say hi to me when I don't know your face. So I know you from your comments on the channel, but I don't know your face. And it was really nice of the folks who came up and said, hello, I don't want to seem like a stalker, but and that was great. That was really great. So thank you, Rachel at Alice Ellen Crafts for being brave enough to do that. To Libby Gracie for coming along and saying hello. For Susan, who is Flosses and Crosses, and she had commented on Instagram, which I think I picked up on Saturday night when I was back in my room, and then I said, oh, I'll have to find out who you are on Sunday, and she did. She came and said hello. So I know there were lots of others of you who also did the same thing. Oh, Sarah was at the table behind me, and I had lovely chats with Sarah. And she made a point of saying good morning to me every morning. And oh, it was really nice. So I missed all of that on Monday morning. It was very boring getting up on Monday morning to the normal breakfast cereal at home and and school run. And where was the lovely breakfast all laid out for me and the stitchy room of friends to go to? So anyway, thank you so much to everyone who I spoke with, who I laughed with, who I had great fun with over the weekend. Now you want to see some more things, don't you? So you don't want to just listen to me rabbit on. So of course at retreat you get gifts. There are lots of little things doing the rounds. There are exchanges, there are gifts from friends that you know, there are table gifts, all sorts. So I've got lots to show you, and of course there's no retreat without haul, so I've got that to share with you too. So our table gifts at table 9 included gorgeous little floss drops from Edna. Aren't they lovely? I took 2 to put into my stitching journal just as memories, but we could take as many as we wanted. It was very generous. Thank you, Edna, and it was so good to meet you. I'm so glad you got the last spot at our table. Then Noreen, my friend that I was there with, Noreen had made for each of us this little Hessian sack with Stitch in London stitched on it and a little 2023 charm. And in the little sack she had a little box which has a needle minder in it. Here we go. It's a little heart needle minder. And 2 very cute buttons that say handmade with love on them. There's 2 of them. Ready for finishing projects. So those are very sweet little gifts, and they'll be very useful to add to our finishing stashes. So thank you, Noreen. I love it. The nice thing about showing these all to you today is that I can actually use them now. They've been sitting here all week tempting me, and I didn't want to put them away or use them because I would forget what they were and forget to tell you about them. And then we had quite a few edible gifts on our table, and as you can imagine there's no evidence of those to show you, but thank you so much to the ladies at the table who brought shortbread and chocolates and fruit and all manner of goodies. That was so nice. Thank you very much. Whitney, who came all the way from the US, as I was telling you, gave us all a little tissue wrapped parcel in which was an entire stitch kit. So she gave us a cute little card. Let me get that out for you. She gave us a cute little card, and inside it explains that she's given us everything we need to make a little Stitch in London memento project. So there is a chart that Whitney's provided. I'm not going to show that to you, but Whitney had these stickers made, and she was able to give them out to lots of folks in the room. But this little wording, Stitch in London 2023, is what she charted for us to use as the chart for our table gift. Now the whole picture is Whitney's exchange, her smalls exchange piece that she put on the smalls exchange table for someone to win. Isn't it beautiful? Really beautiful. But as I say, she has charted the wording and the year for us. It's on the back here. And then she gave us some fabric, some lovely fabric to stitch on. Ada, I think it's I counted it and I think it's an 18, maybe a 20 count. She gave us 2 skeins of thread, a red and a blue DMC. She gave us a little piece of finishing ribbon, which is gorgeous, really gorgeous. And a little piece of sticky board to mount our stitching, and this cute little frame as well. So we have everything that we need to make this little stitch, which I thought was a really sweet gift idea for the retreat tables. Now I want to show you what I've done with my stitch. So I didn't stitch this there, I stitched it since I came home, and I used Whitney's chart and then adapted it a little to be quite a specific memory of table 9 and our chitter chatter about this chart. So, sorry, about Jacob's chart, the one with the boat on it, the Merry Sailors one, okay? So this is what I have done with it. So you see I have Stitch in London 2023 as provided by Whitney. Thank you, Whitney. I stitched the 2 dogs on because they caused such controversy and many, many laughs at our table. Then up here I just filled in with a couple of motifs that were on Jacob's chart as well. And then you can see that I used the alphabets of Jacob's chart to put in the initials of the 8 of us who were sat at table 9. So we have Whitney, Edna, Rachel, Kirsty, Chris, Jane, Noreen, and me, Sarah. So I'm looking forward to fully finishing this now that the stitching is done, and it's just a funny, special reminder of a fabulous 3 days in London at Stitch in London Retreat. So thank you, Whitney, and that was a really great table gift to leave for each of us. Something that I decided to do, I did provide, sorry, just make sure this doesn't all fall. Okay, I did offer some table gifts to everyone at the table also, and I have a little video of those gifts along with my smalls retreat that I'll show just a little bit later in this episode. So I will share with you what I gifted to the ladies at the table. One of the things I really wanted to do on the weekend was to take my stitching journal with me, and this is the journal I've been using this year. I do have another one, but this is my main journal for the year. And in the back I had some spare pages, so what I wanted to do was have a little space where people would sign, people who were at the retreat would sign. They would tell me, you know, just say something nice or not nice, whatever, but just say something and then leave their name and their Instagram or their YouTube channel or whatever. Now, I was quite diligent about it on Friday afternoon, not so much on Saturday, and I'd kind of forgotten about it entirely by Sunday, but I did get a start. I used these lovely stickers which were gifted to me a little while ago by Kathleen at Kathleen's Trodden Trails. And then I was able to add in the sticker that Whitney had given us as a little gift as well. So this is just a really nice memory of some of the folks that I was able to spend some time with and have a chat with. And it's such a nice thing to look back on and remind, as a reminder of our time there. So thank you to everyone who put up with me asking you to sign my little book. I really appreciate that. Okay, at Stitch in London, there were lots and lots of folks giving out little goodies and gifts and leaving something little on your table for you to come back, and all of it was just so much fun and made me smile. Luda came around the tables with a box full of gorgeous, really gorgeous beaded scissor fobs. So I think she had little Halloween charms on the bottom of all of them. I've seen some that are pumpkins as well. The one I picked out happened to have a spider on. I'm not a spider fan, but I couldn't give it up because I love the beads on this one. So it's really pretty. So thank you so much, Luda. This was really, really, really thoughtful. Thank you for making one for all of us. Hazel was there. Hazel is someone that I know from Zoom calls, from Stitch Across the Pond Zoom calls, and I don't know if Hazel got any stitching done at the weekend at all, because every time I looked at her, she seemed to be on her feet giving someone a gift. And I wanted to say a huge thank you for the lovely gift she brought to me. So Hazel gave me this sweet little frog pin cushion, and he's nicely weighted so that he sits upright on your table. And there's his little eyes up there. Isn't he cute? So that was, look at the work that has gone into this as well. And that was not enough. Hazel was so generous, and she also made me this fantastic project keeper. Look at this. Look at the half square triangles that are involved in this. Rachel, you must have been busy since you went home from last retreat making all these things, because I wasn't the only one on the receiving end of these. Look, it's got this lovely vinyl pocket, and she put in some useful things, a pen and post-its, and let me show you, this little pack of fabric squares for finishing, and some floss drops, which are very sweet, beautiful cards that beautiful colored card that they're made from. Beautiful. So all of those treats were inside, and I know she went round and she gave, I think almost everyone got a bundle of these finishing squares. And oh, she was just so busy giving out goodies all weekend. And on this side, Hazel put in these teddy bear fabrics so that I would have a match to this gift, which she made for Charlotte. So she was so thoughtful in making something for Charlotte as well. And here's Charlotte's response, Hazel.
I forgot.
Hazel.
Thank you, Hazel, for my perfect gift for me. And say, anyway, this is here, and this is for sweeties, for Nella, and we're here for diamonds. We're here, I put it here, and I put it here, and I put it here. Bye!
So you can see that in Hazel's goodie bag for Charlotte, she had given her some sweeties, which there's no evidence remaining of. Some post-its, which Charlotte has doodled on already, and her pen. I think the clicky pen was the highlight. She's not had a clicky pen before. I didn't realise that, but she hasn't. So she was fascinated by the clicky pen. And there were two little worms or caterpillars. Charlotte has called them caterpillars. And one is in this cute little drawstring bag. Look. Look. Look at the work in this. How sweet is that? And this one is very tactile and really good for Charlotte's sensory needs. So Hazel, from Charlotte's mum, I'm saying a huge thank you, but Charlotte really does appreciate these little gifts, and I've stolen them back off her to be able to show them to you today while she's still at school. So I'll have to put them back on her table so that they're there for her when she comes home today. And that's not all from Hazel. Oh no, Hazel did the rounds again after gifting me so very generously. She did the rounds again, I think maybe the next morning, and she had bookmarks, and she let us choose a bookmark. I think most people got a bookmark, and she let me choose one for Charlotte also. So we will be adding these to our reading. We both love to read, Charlotte and I, so we'll be adding these to our reading. So thank you, Hazel. I hope you did get a few stitches in and managed to sit down now and again, because you were very busy being Santa Claus. Okay, I got to meet Anne-Marie, who lives in Ireland, and we haven't met, but we have communicated through the channel quite often. And Anne-Marie brought me a goodie bag from Ireland, and look, evidence that I don't eat all the goodies immediately. So Anne-Marie bought me some Butler's Irish chocolate. There's a very sweet little Irish key ring. And a Celtic bookmark. Love it. A little finishing piece, little tag for finishing. So I will add this to my finishing stash. Look forward to putting something on there. Thank you, Anne-Marie. And because she knows that I'm doing the 50 starts next year, she thought something small would be useful. So she bought me a copy of the Bluebird sampler. So thank you so much, Anne-Marie. I love these little gifts, and it was so good to meet you properly. I'm sorry you had a difficult journey getting to the retreat, but I'm glad you made it, and I'm glad we were able to say hello in the flesh and have a good old chin wag while we were there. Thank you for the goodies. Okay. So when you disappear from your table and you come back and you find little bits of goodness like this. This is from Claire, who was sitting at the table behind. She is the Opal Stitcher on Instagram, and she gave us these little floss rings. Mine has a thimble on it, a little bee charm, and a little charm that says handmade. Can you see? And then she gave us little bulb pins with a couple of little charms on them. So there we go. So thank you, Claire. Those are lovely, and again I get to be able to use them now that I've shown them on here. And I got a really cute pair of these travel scissors, and I'm so sorry, but I can't remember the name of the person who gave these to me, and I feel really bad about it, but I'm thrilled to have a little pair of these. So thank you for those. Carrie at Roxy Floss Co. gave me a needle minder with Roxy Bird on it. Isn't that lovely? Thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry that Caroline wasn't able to be with you. I hope that maybe in the future there'll be a time when you can both come back to Stitch in London, and I hope very much that I'm there when you do. Charlie at Charlie Feathers gave me a lovely gift of some of her floss drops. So these are her card floss drops. Look how many there are. Gosh, there are so many there, Charlie. And they're all so pretty. And then I got these ones, which I believe these are jelly printed. I think that's the name of the craft that produces these. And the colors are beautiful. I really highly recommend, if you love floss drops, if you would like to buy a gift of floss drops for someone, I highly recommend that you find Charlie's site. I think I'll link below. I can't remember whether it's an Etsy. I think it is an Etsy shop, but I will link below. The hand painted ones are phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. Several people at the table had purchased them, and each card in the set is hand painted, like the one I showed you that had been in our goodie bag. But every card in the set is hand painted that way. And then she has these little sets which are jelly printed in all kinds of various patternation and colour, and they're just stunning, and they're so unique that they will make absolutely treasured gifts. So thank you so much for those, Charlie. That was very generous of you to gift me both of those. Sorry for the noise, but I am trying to keep things kind of from becoming just an explosion on the table here. Yasmin left us, and by us I mean everyone in the room. She left us 3 charts in a little goodie pack. 2 gnomes, a Halloween gnome and a Noel gnome. And the 3rd chart is on the back of here, and it says "to my friend," and that's all you're going to see of it. So that was really generous, Yaz, to give us all such gorgeous gifts. And those were on the table waiting for us when I came back from yet another wander around the room. And Sarah, who I had told you about, who was sat at the table behind me, and we kept having little chats. Sarah brought me the most gorgeous hand-dyed pearl cotton floss. We think it's pearl, yeah. Oh, right, here we go. And she knows that this is my colour. Oh, look how good it looks against this, this shabby sweatshirt. It makes the floss look fabulous. Sarah, thank you so much. Sorry about that. I had a little interruption phone call there that I had to take about Charlotte's vision. So anyway, I was showing you this gorgeous floss that Sarah gifted to me, and there's lots of it, so I will find something really special to be able to stitch with that. Thank you very much, Sarah. Okay, then I got a gift from Noreen, because Noreen won the super duper raffle prize. Here she is with her winnings. So that great big bundle was a super duper raffle prize that she was the winner of at Retreat, and there was so much in there. Actually, the photograph doesn't tell you just quite how much was in it, but she had so much in that she very graciously offered everyone at table 9 one of the charts out of her haul, her winning haul. So she gave me this one because she knew I had been looking at it on the Friday at Chloe's vendor stall. So this is Chloe's Esther Law reproduction sampler, and Chloe is Girl with the Gavel Stitches. So this is really beautiful, and I had wanted to purchase on Friday and then wasn't sure, and let me tell you about purchasing at Retreat. Okay, this is another rule of Retreat, or things, sorry, not rule, but lessons learned at Retreat, is that your stitching attitude changes across the weekend. On Friday, you arrive and you've got your sensible head on, and you're, no, I have to be careful. I should pace myself. There'll be more vendors tomorrow. Yeah, let's be really sensible. So stupidly sensible didn't latch on at the first sign of this one, but I did purchase some other things, but I thought I can get this online another time. Saturday comes and you're like, do you know what? I'm here to treat myself. I'm here having a great time, and I'm just going to buy some lovely things to give myself a treat. But I'll, will not go too mad, but I will treat myself. Sunday comes and you're like, oh, I'm only here another day. Let's just get everything. Just get everything. So that is the shopping experience at retreat, at least from my point of view anyway. I'll show you my haul in a minute. In the meantime, thank you to Noreen for sharing your winning haul with us. I love this. Chloe, thank you for such a lovely chart as well. Then I was with Sally and we were having a good old chat, and Sally had finished a stitch while she was there. She finished stitching a chart. So I don't want to spoil that chart, but I want to say thank you, Sally, because she passed it on to me. And it's really, really lovely. So I will be adding this to my stash to be stitched, TBS. And I hope that you enjoy fully finishing yours, which was absolutely gorgeous. So that was a little treat. And then on Saturday afternoon, I think. Yes, Saturday afternoon, we had the freebie table. So there was a limit this year, just to keep it manageable. And you could bring up to 3 different pieces of whatever you wanted to give away as freebies. And you could add 3 pieces to the freebie table. And then when it was time to go to the freebie table, you could choose the same number of pieces that you put in. So if you put in 3, you could take 3 away. So I put in 3 and I was able to pick these up at the freebie table. So I love this little one by Country Cottage Stitches, a little church that says, "Oh, come let us adore him." Yeah. So thank you to whoever popped that on the freebie table. I also got this little one, which is a chart. Doesn't seem to have a photo with it, but it is Mama Loves You GB. It's Michelle's chart for May Flights of Angels Sing Thee to Thy Rest. And that was the quote that Prince Charles had used, or King Charles used, when he gave his speech about his mother in honour of her, on her death, Queen Elizabeth II. So that's very cute. And then I got this gorgeous book of Easter designs. It's a Twin Peak Primitives Easter Book 2022. There are lots of lovely little small stitches in there, so I felt very lucky getting that one from the smalls, or from the, what's the word? The freebie table, that's it, the freebie table. Okay, now for one of the best bits. For me, one of the best bits of retreat, one of the most fun bits, I mean there's so much of it is fun, but one of the most fun bits is participating in the smalls exchange. It is optional, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I have to say that all of us who did participate really enjoyed it and really felt that it was an integral part of being there on the weekend. In advance of going to retreat, you make a small. For this retreat, there was no set theme. There was a kind of sizing guideline and an idea of what we should put in, and there should be extras of only up to a certain value added, so that, you know, so that exchange gifts were all roughly the same, you know. But it was up to you which theme you wanted to stitch or whatever, and then you packaged it up, and if you can, package it in such a way as to suggest the theme. So maybe you put some autumn leaves on the bag if it's an autumn stitch, or whatever, you know, you get the idea. So this year at the retreat, they called folks to the exchange table, one table at a time. So Marie drew from a hat and called the table numbers. Our table, table 9, were the very last table to go, and so we had less choice, but actually a number of us decided that was quite a good thing because there was so much choice to begin with. I think I have a photo of the table at the beginning and I'll insert it if I do. So look at all the beauties that there were. By the time we went to the table, obviously there were only as many left as there were of us going to collect. So we had less decision fatigue, I think was how Whitney described it, and that was quite right. But let me tell you, being the last table to be chosen at Smalls Exchange at a retreat isn't a drama, because everything was gorgeous, everything. And I got so lucky. This was the little package that was sitting on the table that attracted my eye. And I picked this up and I'm going to show you what was inside. So you can see that there's a heart-shaped cookie cutter and some pretty heart ribbon on there. So the theme of this bag is love. And this bag, it turns out, because she didn't put her name in the bag, so I opened everything, I had a big smile on my face, and then I was a bit crestfallen because I had no idea who'd stitched it. But it turned out to be Katie. And I met Katie and her sister Emma in the lobby when we were waiting to come in on Friday afternoon. And Katie came and found me after the Smalls Exchange and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't put my name in the bag, but it was me who made it." So I was so thrilled that I was able to find her, or she found me and was able to come and tell me. So we've got the cookie cutter and the ribbon, and Katie deserves the prize for sticking to the theme the best, the very best. So here is the stitch. Isn't it so sweet? And her stitching is perfect. It's 1/1 on whatever that linen is. I think it's maybe an even weave. It's a very pale blush. It's beautiful, really beautiful. Very delicate stitching. I think this is one of the Brenda Gervais patterns from the Love Notes book, I think. Finished into a little pillow, some cute fabric and trim on the back. You just have to look at it again because it's so nice. So I'm absolutely thrilled with this. And carrying on the love theme, there are Hershey Kisses. Please note, they're still intact. The bag is not opened yet. I won't be able to vouch for that tomorrow, but at the moment, they're still intact. Then, for your kissing lips, I got some Cherry Carmex and a gorgeous skein of Cupid floss from Classic Colorworks. So kudos for the for keeping up the theme, and of course the cookie cutter and the ribbon as well. I'm sorry, it's really hard to share this in a sensible way. See? There we go. Yeah, I can't do that. But anyway, have a look at the stitch again. So Katie, thank you so much. Katie is Kiki Stitches on Instagram, if you'd like to go and have a look at her feed. So good. Yeah, so if you are in doubt about the Smalls Exchange, I would say go for it. I would say stitch something pretty, stitch something nice. Don't get too overwhelmed by it. Put in a few things that you would enjoy receiving into the bag and have fun with the exchange. It really is a very fun part of the weekend. Hi folks, I'm here to share with you today the little stitches that I made to take to Stitch in London. So I've got some table gifts here and I have my Smalls Exchange piece to share with you, and I'm just taking the opportunity to record them before I take them away and give them. But of course you're watching this post-retreat and they will all have been gifted. So here on the table I've got little pouches that I made as table gifts for the folks who I will be sharing a table with when I'm in London. These are handy little pouches that are, yes, a peculiar shape, but they are handy little pouches that open up and sit flat on your table. So you can see I've got some goodies in here. So I have a skein of DMC. I've got a nice chocolate truffle tea bag and 4 little wonder clips as well. So this little pouch sits open like so, and could be the pouch that you carry your scissors and your wonder clips in to retreat, and then when you're at retreat you can use it as an art catcher. So that is the idea behind these little pouches. It's not what they were intended for, they're just little pouches for whatever, but I thought they would be a really nice idea for stitchers at retreat. They do open out and they do sit open like little trays. So just as a gift to my table mates, I've added the 4 little wonder clips, the treats, and a skein of floss. And then they zip up nicely again. Now, if this is the kind of little stitched item that interests you, I did get this from a free tutorial on YouTube, and I will link that below for you if you are interested in stitching one of these cute little pouches. They don't take terribly much fabric and they don't take very long to stitch up, so they are a good retreat piece or a good little Christmas gift for friends or whatever. Fill them with some stitchy things and some chocolate and you're good to go. So I really hope that if you were at my table and you got one of these at retreat, that you enjoy it and that it is useful to you, and is a reminder just of the time then that I was there to say hello to you in person. So those are my little mini pouch table gifts. Of course, at retreat, there was a smalls exchange. There will be, as I'm sitting here today, there will be a smalls exchange, and I have stitched and framed this piece for my exchange partner. The eagle-eyed among you will know that I stitched this for myself a little while back. And when I did, it got such a great appreciation that I thought it would make a really nice gift for the smalls exchange at retreat. Now, I stitched this version slightly differently from my own version. My own version, I changed the colours from the original pattern and I changed them to kind of bright versions of these colours. But for this one, because it was going to an exchange partner that I don't know and I don't know their tastes, I just thought maybe I should tone it down, give it a different look, and that might kind of then appeal to a broader audience, as it were. Not everyone likes the bright colours that I stitched mine in. But I did stick to the same colourway, so you can see I've still got the blues and pinks, and I just toned them down a little bit. I then framed it in this vintage frame, which I found at the range and I thought was perfect, and I added some mother of pearl buttons to the bottom of the frame just to make it a little bit more special. So I'm hoping that the recipient of my exchange gift will love it, and I really hope that it is to their taste. Would hate for anybody to be disappointed. But that is my second version of Stitching Mends the Sew, and I love it. So along with this gift, I will be giving a little pincushion jar that I made. So let me see. This is one of those little individual jam jars that you can get when you buy scones at the coffee shop. And I always bring them home thinking I must do something with those. So this time I did. So I covered the lid with fabric. I made a little domed pin cushion for the top and stuck that on the top. Trimmed that with some gold trim, added on the mother of pearl button. So that's a little pin cushion, and the little jar again has some little wonder clips in, or you could keep it your orts in it or whatever you wanted to. So that is just a little extra to go along with the stitched piece. And the other gift that I am including with this little exchange is a caterpillar cross stitch needle minder which says made to create on it. I'm hoping that this is an acceptable exchange gift. I'm always nervous about gifting things to other people and whether I made the right choices or whatever. But I hope that it will be loved and treasured as a memento of our time together in London in 2023. So there you go. Those are the things that I was busy with and wasn't able to show you until today. Some games. We had controversial bingo and brilliant raffles. And what else did we have? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, bingo and raffles and lots of fun. I would say cross stitchers aren't great at bingo. Counting is hard. But sorry, just remembering the fun that we had. It was super, and the amazing raffle prizes that Marie had put together for us. They were wonderful. People went home with some very special presents. Gorgeous project bags filled with beautiful charts, and someone got a little kit that was a travel stitching case that would enable them to go home and make. It was just amazing. And I liked the way the raffles were done. We each got 3 tickets in our goodie bag, and on the day of the raffle, then the raffle prizes were set out, you know, one at a time, as it were, in groups, and beside them was a glass, and you put your ticket into the glass. So I had 3 tickets. I could decide which 3 prizes I wanted to be entered into the draw for, and I popped my ticket into the appropriate glass, and that's how they were drawn. I think that was a really super way of doing it. I've not been to a raffle like that before, and I thought it was a really great way to do it. So all good fun was had. So I think the last thing, oh, I've just spotted a piece of stitching that I didn't show you. So this was my huff stitch. Remember I said that when I discovered the windows of my house were slightly off, I took a bit of a huff. So that night, instead of stitching on the house, while I was pondering and trying to decide what I should do, I picked up the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Season's Greetings. Now, I didn't pick this up just because I was in a huff. I was always intending to stitch this at night because it's on an Ada. It's on a 16 count Ada, I think. And that makes it much easier to see at night time, especially if you've been on the go since 5:15 in the morning. So this is my progress on Season's Greetings. Another lovely stitcher was working very hard at this all weekend, and I think she got almost finished. At one stage, she had started with the greetings at the bottom, and I had the top, and we could have put ours together so that we could have made a whole stitch out of what we had. We each had, but she was much more dedicated and diligent with her stitching, and I think she got nearly finished, so it was lovely. This is a very nice stitch, and I would heartily recommend. I know that the monthly box has been issued. There may be some left over on Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and if not, at some stage they may release the chart. So I would recommend it. It's a lovely stitch. Okay, sorry that I forgot to share that with you. So what's left now is to share with you some haul, and I apologise in advance. I was on retreat, okay? Say no more. So when the retreat is being planned, Marie sent us out a little message to say that Kerry from Roxy Floss Co would be there, and that she was taking pre-orders if we wanted to go have a look at the website, the Evertote website, look at the flosses there, and choose some flosses. She would package those up to bring them over for us. So I did that. I placed my Roxy Floss Co pre-order. And here are the beauties that I got. Let me see if I can show them against a board, which might make them show up better. Okay, so here we go. Sorry, I have a new iPad and I feel like I'm having to lift everything very high to be seen. So I'm sorry if things are getting a little bit cut off at the bottom. Next video I'll try to work a little bit better and adjust things a bit better, but for some reason it seems to film a little bit higher. I think the camera, the little pinhole for the camera is in a slightly different place than on the old iPad, and that might be just something that I'm not used to. So I'm sorry if I've cut things off at the bottom. If there's anything that was crucial and you didn't see it, do let me know and I can answer any questions you have. So these are my pre-order threads from Roxy Floss Co. And they're beautiful, beautiful. So these were all the threads I was going to get. I was treating myself. It was a retreat purchase and I had chosen some projects, some charts before I made my pre-order. I chose some charts and I picked out the flosses that I thought would work for those. So I've got Falu Red, which are these ones here. Stunning red. This one is Great Lakes, which it turned out was then the blue that is used in the kit for the retreat. I'm sorry, it just feels like it's going to be a disaster now. And I've lost several. Okay. Okay, I think there's one on the floor, but it is represented by its compatriot here. So we have the Falu Reds, and then we have Great Lakes, which as I said was in the chart that Jacob did for the retreat. So I've now got 2 of those. This one is called Cheeky. So it's a brighter red. Then there's this lovely soft yellow called Sunshine. And then this colour is called Goody Blue Shoes. I think it's quite green actually, but it's lovely. It's a really lovely colour. I got 2 of those. That's one of the ones that ended up on the floor. So those were my selections for pre-order. But there was a table of Roxy Floss thread and it was there all weekend. And if you listened really carefully, it was going, Sarah, buy me, Sarah, come and see us, come and see us. So it's talking floss. So yes, Sarah went twice more. And I thought, oh, just buy a couple. And then this is where I'm telling you, on Sunday, by Sunday, I was just like, yeah, just buy them. Just buy them. You're not going to see them in the flesh again for at least another year, maybe longer. So just buy them and be done with it and enjoy. So here is my retreat selection, the non-pre-orders. Aren't they beautiful? I love the purple variations, the berry kind of variations that we have in these. This one is called Hippie. This one is Royale. Gorgeous blue. I think I went once and bought 1 and then back bought 2 the next time. This one is Coho. Coho, it's a lovely coral colour. It's showing a little bit orange there, but it's a lovely coral. This one is Pink 182, which I feel deserves a better name, but perhaps Pink 182 actually is significant. It means something. So if anyone knows, you... Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, Pink 182, that's that one. This one I love. It's really, really deep purple and it's called Cheshire. Then this one is Bing. Beautiful. Bing. This one is Don't Be Jelly. And there's one more. Give me a second. One more is My Funny Valentine. this one. So I'm sorry about my terrible presentation of the Roxy Floss, but they are stunning, absolutely stunning. So, happy purchases. Then Laura from Cotton and Clay, who made the Stitch in London needle minder, was selling other needle minders there, and there were so many lovely ones to choose from, but in the end I chose a snow globe with little penguins in. It was very, very good value and so cute. She had so many cute ones. She had some bee ones, so I think I'd like to go, not bee, but honeycomb ones, and I'd really like to go and see if she has any more of those on her Etsy shop. Again, links for everybody's shops, if they're Etsy or otherwise, will be down below. Marie was selling this little pack of Christmas themed threads. I think they're beautiful. There was a Christmas ornament booklet that had been put together by designers specifically for Stitch in London. I didn't purchase it, but it had been put together by a number of designers and they were exclusives to Stitch in London. And these threads were to go with that, but I didn't realise that at the time. I just thought, ooh, those are nice Christmas colours. So I bought those. Then I purchased this very sweet little tin, and it's because it's got an umbrella on it and because it's a tiny tin. And I think that came from Megan at Coffee Crafts, but I could be wrong. I think it did. And then Megan at Coffee Crafts, I also bought these two fabrics. I hope you can see them even through the, oh you can, yeah, even through the plastic wrapping. So these are both 40 count, oh no, they're not both 40 count, sorry. This one is a 36 count linen in this fabulous green. She doesn't seem to name her fabrics, so yeah, I don't know what to tell you other than it's beautiful green. And then I was very taken by this butter yellow colour, and it's a 40 count even weave. So I thought these would both be really nice for spring and summer projects. Although I have to say even this one would be really good for autumn too. So I think these will actually be very versatile, even though I didn't have a particular plan or a particular project in mind when I made the purchase, but they're beautiful. Yaz was there with a little stand selling all of her gorgeous patterns, and I have a lot of Yaz patterns in my stash, so next year I really must start some of them, but I've always liked this Merry Christmas, so I bought that from Yasmin's Made with Love. Marie was selling a range of patterns and she had Anjou pears. I love those. So those are by Annie B's Folk Art, Anjou pears. And Cosford Rise Stitchery was selling on Friday afternoon. These were the first two charts that I bought actually, because I saw the models. And the first is this Biscornu and teeny tiny scissor fob Biscornu. You need to see this really close up, and you need to see it in real life. It is gorgeous. Tiny stitching, beautiful, elegant, and actually I love the scissor fob so much. So one day I will stitch these and add these to my stitchy room. So that is Cosford Rise Stitchery. And the last pattern I purchased was also Cosford Rise, and it is a December basket. There's a whole series of these for each month of the year, and there were so many months that I really loved. But I don't want to do a whole other series. So if you're interested, go and have a look. There are lots of beautiful baskets for the months, but I thought I'd pick the December one. It's very cute. Okay, I think that the only thing left to share with you is that coming home and the end of retreat isn't the end. Well, it is and it isn't, but it was very hard to say goodbye because it was such a wonderful event from beginning to end. I think you can tell I've rambled on quite a long time on this episode, and I had an absolutely wonderful time. So, but when we came home, I was glad I'd booked the next day off. I couldn't speak. My voice was practically non-existent on Monday, and I was absolutely exhausted. Peopling is hard, and it turns out having fun is exhausting, but absolutely worth it. And then I think maybe on Tuesday we got a little email that said, "Are you having retreat blues?" And I thought, how did she know? And it was from Marie. And there were another 2 gorgeous freebies on there for us as a little post-retreat treat. So the first was from Hannah Stitching, and I will insert it here. It is a spooky little biscornu. Very cute and appropriate for this time of year. And then Crow's Feet Stitching had provided this autumn cushion, and I think that's gorgeous. So you can see that we were very well taken care of. We were spoiled with treats. We were spoiled with our goodie bag, spoiled by all of the goodness that was gifted around, spoiled by the chat and the conversation and the friendship. And do you know what? That stitching room was just such a happy room, and I would go back tomorrow. So I'm keeping my ears peeled for the release of next year's, and I think that it's going to be okay for hubby if I go. Noreen and I have plans, and we're going to try to both be there again next year. So if you would like to go to retreat, then please follow Marie at Stitches and Diamonds on Instagram, and follow her website as well. I think it's stitchinlondon.com, or maybe stitchesanddiamonds.com. I'm having a blank, but it will be below. So if you're interested, I would keep an eye out, because it will be this side of Christmas when she announces the dates for next autumn. And it might be nice for some of you to have your turn at your first retreat at Stitch in London 2024. So thank you so much to Marie and to Mr. Marie for providing a fantastic weekend, for facilitating lots of stitchers getting together, meeting friends and making friends. And that is really what it was all about. And yeah, you can tell I absolutely adored it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, if you're still with me, I realise that this video has gotten quite long. So very, very briefly, I just want to mention a little something about Sally and I doing our 50 Starts Challenge next year. I have mentioned this before, and I will give it more detail in a proper space at a different time. But Sally and I we're both going to be 50 in 2024, and we want to do a 50 start challenge, or have a 50 start adventure, perhaps is a nice way to put it. And we're going to do that next year. We're going to do it across the year from the 1st of January 24 to the 31st of December. We'd like to involve you and bring you along with us. You'll be able to start something, a kind of stitch along with us in honor of our big year, and we will share with you what we're stitching as we stitch it and the starts as we go. So if you want to join in with one of those, you can. But again, we'll give you more info and more detail on that in a better format at another time. But for today, what I want to tell you is that part of our decision making for our 50 starts will be to choose patterns that are that come from prompts or from challenges that you set. So we want to ask you today, Sally is going to ask you also on her next video, if you can send us some ideas, some little prompts for stitching starts. So for example, you might say, start something with red floss, or start something by this designer, or start something, whatever, you know, it can be a little bit more specific, okay? And then what Sally and I are going to do is we're going to compile the list of suggestions. And from that list, we will pick some of them to be prompts and challenges for our 50 starts. So in our 50 starts, we're going to have a lot that's kind of just up to us, free choice to stitch whatever we want to stitch. But some of it we thought would be fun if you made the suggestions, you know, start a Barbara Anna, start something with green, start something with a banana in it. I don't know, you know, it can be, you know, something with that particular motif. You get the idea, you guys already know. So all I'm asking for from you today is if you have a suggestion that we might consider for our 50 starts, please put it in the comments below. I will collate those. Sally will collate the ones that she receives. We'll put them together in a list. We'll have a look and we'll say yes, 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 yes. We'll pick, you know, 15 or 20 of those, and they will go into our list of 50 starts so that we have little prompts to respond to next year that were sent to us by you. So I hope that you enjoy getting on board with us, and I hope that you'll have some things to share with us, some prompts to share with us. As a final word, I want to just talk to you today about connection and about here on the channel. I have received some communications, emails and chats and through Instagram and as well. And just over the last 6 months, I've noticed that there are quite a few of us out there who are seeking community, who are stitching and maybe a little bit lonely because we don't have stitchy friends. We don't have people who get it. We don't have other folks who understand what our excitement is about. And I want to share with you today that there are ways for you to connect. If you haven't already found them, I want to encourage you to look for them, because I didn't have anyone else stitching either. And through Flosstube mainly and Instagram, I have found ways that you can connect with other stitchers. I know it's not necessarily in your hometown or your local village hall and gathering. Although that being said, when you do start to make connections, some people have gone and taken that extra step to set up a local group in their community. And that reduces the feelings of isolation that some of us feel. And it just encourages that sense of community that we can build together. So if you're lucky enough to have it physically, that's really great. If you don't, please follow floss tubers who are really active in the community, who will suggest or tell you about other retreats and things that are happening, so that you know, for example, when Stitch in London is happening, when it's going on, so that you can go and look, and if you feel like you would like to go, then you could book. Or obviously somewhere, you know, there are plenty in the US. There was Dutch Mania, there was one in Basel, Stitch Basel recently. So try to keep your eyes and ears open. Follow floss tubers and Instagrammers. Instagram accounts particularly are good. You know, you don't have to watch for an hour before you get the information. But try to link into that. There are also Facebook groups where you can go and you can share your stitching. You can join the group, you share your stitching. There are Facebook groups for challenges. There are Facebook groups they're just kind of chatty, they're just sharing your stitch. And there are ones that are specific to particular areas or to particular designers. So in the UK, there's one called Floss Friends UK, and they will often put up information about stitchy meetups that are going on and other kinds of retreats that are happening. I didn't know about them until very recently, so I joined them and I'm following along there. And you know, hopefully at some stage I'll see something that I might be able to connect in with. There are also Zoom meetings, and I have to tell you, that I never thought I would enjoy a Stitchy Zoom meeting, but I do. I join the Stitch Across the Pond Zoom, which is hosted by Angie at the Tiny House Stitcher and Marie Stitches and Diamonds, who also organised Stitch in London. And they host a Zoom on the second Saturday of every month. And that Zoom is for people all over the world. Now, it is set at a particular time on a Saturday evening. Well, it's Saturday evening for me here in the UK, Saturday morning in the US, Sunday very, very, very early in Australia, New Zealand. But they are doing their best to find a time that allows many of us to connect together as possible. And, you know, I didn't think that that would be the thing for me, but I really love it. And, you know, you don't have to speak. There are times when I go on and don't speak. I come on here and blather at you all the time. I don't always need to talk when I go on the Zoom call. So sometimes I just sit and watch, and I stitch for the Saturday evening, and I watch everyone else stitch and chat. Marie and Angie, who are hosting, will have a prompt question for the evening, like, have you ever been at retreat? Or what's your favourite stitcher? What's your favourite designer? And there's one question, and when it's your turn to speak, or you want to speak, then you can answer the question and show us what you're stitching on that evening. That's kind of the format. I know there are other Zooms out there. Laura at Stitching by the Shore does one occasionally. So keep your ears open to find ways to connect in the community, because there are ways, and they are really, really special, and they've become really important to me. And I think there are lots of you who have spoken to me over the last number of months who would really benefit from those too. So yeah, I just wanted to say, if at any time I can help and, you know, put you in touch with, my voice hasn't fully recovered yet. If at any time I can help direct you or put you in touch with anything, you know, please just ask. I don't know everything. I'm still trying to work some of it out myself, but it really does help if you're following people who are really good at knowing these things, really good at knowing what's going on. So please reach out. Please don't be lonely. You don't have to be, okay? Right. You've seen enough of me this week. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to hopefully tidy all of this up and settle myself down to edit and maybe get a little bit of stitching in for a slightly less chatty weekend ahead. I am looking forward to coming back in a couple of weeks' time, and I will have collected your responses to the prompts for my 50 start adventure with Sally. And yes, and then I have more fantastic Happy Mail to share with you next time. And yeah, I'm really just looking forward to being back and spending some time with you guys in a couple of weeks. I hope you're all having a wonderful time. And I know that life isn't always wonderful, and sometimes it's really just hard, but I hope you can hang in there. So until next time, please stay well and stitch happy. Bye folks.